Yo, so I made this video because I was thinking of a habit that I never really found like mentioned anywhere. And even those that kind of did mention it in any essence usually view it differently than how I think it should be done. So I thought to make this video. So I think increasingly what we've become as people is consumers, right? So like books, audiobooks, podcasts, YouTube videos like the one you're watching right now, Twitter, social media, video games, those kind of things. Like I've even heard of people who will like play games. Like I used to do this too, right? When I played video games, like I would play Elden Ring. I would grind Elden Ring and listen to an audiobook at the same time, so like I could be productive while I'm playing Elden Ring. And it sort of makes sense, right? Because if I have to grind this monotonous task, I might as well like listen to a good book, like listen to Yukio Mishima or something. But I thought like, what the hell is going on here, right? Because I'm just doing this like all this like maxing of or not maxing, more mashing of content consuming because it feels more like productive in that way. But I guess we've just become consumers, right? We think that consumption is like laudable, right? So if I read one book like every day and I read 300 books a week and I read this many books and I listen to this podcast and do this and this, like this is a badge of honor. And what I realized is I was just consuming, 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 consuming. And if I really wanted to be successful, what I need to do is not consume. Like, sure, reading can be helpful. Like, I enjoy reading. And don't get me wrong about that. But what I mean is, if I want to deliver value and kind of create something and do something actively instead of kind of just passively consuming what others make, it comes through production, not consumption. Right? I mean, this whole obsession people have over productivity is not even productive in its essence because productivity literally means to produce something, as in it's in the name. So I basically started creating stuff, right? So in my case, I did a lot of writing. Now, oh yeah, one thing I do have to mention: you don't have to do writing. There's a lot of things you can create with, but now here's the problem with like becoming a producer though. So as you start producing, I noticed that like all kind of problems like arise, and the number one problem that arises from being a producer is wanting to make a product, right? And I know that sounds counterintuitive because I literally just said that productivity means making a product, but you'll see in a sec. So I think what we've started to do that causes a problem is we've associated writing with publishing. Like I'm using the writing example because it fits with me, but we've associated writing with publishing. So like there's no point in writing unless you become an author, and there's no point in making music unless you're going to become an artist. So what we've started to do is we've tangled together the creative process and the creation, and once you tangle these two together, it makes it super difficult to untangle, right? Because if my goal is to write a book, then the second I start writing, I get into problems with perfectionism. Is it good enough? Is it not good enough? Strategically, am I doing this? Do I need to find a publisher? Are people gonna like it? Are they not gonna like it? And then you get into like writer's block. You get paralyzed. It's not good enough. I need to prepare more. I need to go do this workshop. I need to learn more about this. I need to watch some videos about this. More consumption, right? Because the goal is to publish something, right? And the goal is to be successful with that mindset. But what I learned was that the habit itself is just to become a producer. It doesn't mean to produce something, but it's to become a producer instead of a consumer. To date, like I've never published a book. Have I written books? 100%, right? But I haven't published one, and I don't really. It doesn't affect me that I haven't. But the key thing in this is to stop being a passive consumer and to recognize that once you engage in that process of producing something, you'll likely shed a lot of the problems that we face right now, and you're just enjoying and creating stuff. So shift from consumption to production. Why is that hard? Because we assume production with the finished product. They're interlinked. We want it to be successful, and there's no point in creating a book that no one else will read, right? But I completely disagree on that. I'm not saying that like you should stop consumption as well. I'd say somewhere around like 10 to 20% of consumption time should be turned into production. But here's some actionable steps so you guys can like implement this. So I'd say number one is to give yourself time to think. See what you enjoy doing, right? I know it's easier said than done, but this doesn't mean like you have to do this in a matter of seconds or like days even. Unlike a lot of things now, I know it's harder to wait for that, but once you gain that time to implement that thinking and seeing what you truly enjoy to make and that kind of stuff, you can have those thoughts and put those thoughts into the world in some way, right? It doesn't have to be a thing that makes money. It doesn't have to be a thing that just people are gonna watch. It doesn't even have to be online, technically, right? You just have to put that thought into the world in some way. Start to become a producer instead of a consumer. And then once you're at that state, unlink the idea of the product being the thing that you're caught up on and just learn to produce and actively do stuff. So that's what I would say to do. Whether or not you do it, I guess it's for your sake. See ya.